Today I'm with my friend Riggs, who is a professional musician slash worship leader slash YouTuber, and we're gonna look at his recording studio and then also the video studio that they do all their different video stuff in here at Shades. It's this huge thing. It's really cool. So let's go look at your crazy amps and cameras and all that stuff. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Let's go. Okay, so let's check out this studio. This place is super cool. Look at that.
Yeah, so this is kind of my main angle for everything. My camera is a Canon M50, which anyone can afford. I bought it as a refurb. Right now I'm shooting on the f2 22 millimeter pancake lens is what it's called by M50 users. It's super small, really inexpensive lens, but looks really good, especially for studio stuff. The reason I went with the M50 was because it was really cost effective and it had a fully articulating flip out screen.
That makes a huge difference. I cannot use a camera that doesn't have a flip out screen.
Makes a huge difference. I didn't want to have to buy an external monitor and the Sony stuff, and if you have like the mic on top of it, it like blocks the screen because it like flipped up on the A6000 series, which was again price comparable to the M50. Yeah. So because I'm shooting on a crop sensor camera, this mic normally would look like it would be in frame on a 22 millimeter lens. However, because this lens is more of the 35 millimeter equivalent, one, I have to run it a little further back, which is okay in a studio setup like this. And I'm just using a super cheap $35 Mauke. I think it's an MC M1. It's just a super cheap Amazon microphone, but it sounds great, honestly. And I do all of my voice audio from this. So I'll record amps with professional microphones and all of that kind of stuff, and I'll run that through my audio interface and my Mac setup. But for video, this is all I'm using. For audio, I have a couple of other little toys over here, but nothing crazy. Just the super simple Manfrotto, the Pixie tripod. I think this is just like the standard one. I think the Mini is the smaller one. But I'll also use this for handheld stuff when I need it, which is very rare since most of my stuff is in here. I have just a little fill light that's again just a super cheap. This one's Andoer, A-N-D-O-E-R. It's like 40 bucks on Amazon. I have one other lens. This one's a 15 to 45 Canon lens. This was the kit lens. It's a 3.5 to 6.3, 15 to 45 millimeter. I use this if I have to have a wider shot, but the low light performance isn't as good. But also, that's pretty important.
This lens for like the setup of it looks super good.
Yeah, and it's honestly one of those things that I'm not a video guy, but I found out just enough stuff to kind of make it work and make it work on a budget. The most important thing though, and this is where I don't know if this counts as budget or not, but it is borrowed, so I didn't pay for it. I'm using a light from our main video studio. So this is an Aperture 300D with a huge light dome on it. I think it's the light dome 2. Usually I'll use the 300X so I have more control over color temperature. So usually I'll balance it out to like 3600 Kelvin. And that way the background doesn't look quite as warm as it does right now. Right now I'm using the X though, and it's great. Or I'm using the D right now and it's great. But I do love the X because I can kind of perfect what I want the color temperature of the overall room to look like. Especially because I'm using the warmer lights from above. But because I'm very fortunate to be able to borrow that, not everyone's able to borrow a really nice light like that, but I'm really grateful. But that's how I get everything done. I literally don't have but one SD card. I don't have any extra batteries. I keep my charger for my camera plugged in over here, and everything's kind of set up like a cockpit. So for me, because video is kind of the second part of what I'm doing, I'm so much more focused on audio or working down here. But if I have an idea for a video and I'm already set up, then I can just quickly turn, I can get the camera rolling, or I can go over here and I can change something. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. I really like this setup, and it's super inexpensive. I think I have maybe $700 invested in everything I use for video. Again, lights borrowed.
Yeah. And this whole place is super cool. Like if you see over here, these amps are just crazy. They're super cool. We have another video on his channel you can go check out right now that has all that stuff, or not right now, wait a second, because we've got a whole nother studio to look at. Yeah. But all of this stuff over here is super cool. That's his baby. He has a real baby, so you can't actually say that now. But yeah, but the pedal board is awesome. We can check that out in a minute. But first, we have this other studio upstairs that has it's kind of the exact opposite, no offense. They have all of the toys and all of the whistle, like it's just crazy. So we're gonna go check that out, head upstairs and yeah, talk on the way.
Yep.
So Riggs here actually really was a professional musician and could easily be. Like, you're an incredible guitar player. Why do you work at a church?
So part of it for me, I kind of had this moment where I realized that there wasn't anything in secular music that I loved aside from just the music itself. So like, I love playing music and I love being on the road, but as anybody that's actually toured knows, that you only really spend about 10% of your time, if you're lucky, when you're on the road playing, even if you're doing night after night after night. And at the end of the day, it was one of those things where it was like, man, I'm doing this and like I'm making good money doing it, but it was kind of just self-serving and kind of felt hollow. There didn't really seem to be any meaning behind it. You know, people tell you you're good, or like you put on a good show, or you feel great about your playing. And at the end of the day, when I was laying in bed, it was like, man, I feel like I have so much more to offer and so much more purpose to offer. So being part of a local church has been such a huge blessing for me and for my family. And it's just so much more fulfilling than playing a big stage in front of people who came to see you, and really for me, came to see that artist. They don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
They're like, oh man, this guy's a really good guitar player. But it doesn't matter because they're not invested in my life and they don't know who I am. And the next night is a totally different crowd, and then they go home and they forget about you, you know?
And at the end of the day, you got to do something that's worth your life.
Yeah.
Like, so that's awesome, man. I love it. Okay, let's check out this other studio, see this insane video stuff. Like, man, I wish I had a budget like that. All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so here we are. This is the main video studio.
How's it going, man?
How's it going?
All right, so show us around your crazy bat cave.
Okay, so this is the video studio here. We just have a space where we can put lights up in the ceiling, a place where we can put a backdrop, change things out, have some lights so we can, you know, shuttle around.
Yeah, I think you have more money in tripods than I have in everything I own. Look at that.
Yeah,
that's nuts. Nice little
C-stand.
C-stand.
Yeah, we got our backdrops. This is, over here is our little camera jib. It's the pocket jib from Kessler. We don't use that one too much, but it's fun to have. Some of our modifiers, clamps, got lenses, and then one of the coolest paperweights that I've ever seen is our red.
The coolest paperweight.
Yeah, coolest paperweight.
Right. There's the thumbnail right there. The coolest paperweight, the red camera. And thumbnail.
There it is.
If you want to throw up, thanks.
We actually got 2 reds a while back, but red is a proprietary system, so a lot of the stuff that goes into it, and then the codec and everything tends to be a little harder to work with, and so we actually have these 2 pocket cinema cameras, the 6Ks from Blackmagic. We use those for everything. We just put a zoom on it and go.
Nice.
Our stingers, other cables, any adapters and stuff that we have. So
you got the big old Zeppelin up there.
Nice.
Yeah.
In case we get some wind.
Yeah. Or a small typhoon.
We edit on the Adobe Suite, so this is on Premiere. It's just like a 2-monitor setup with a Mac Studio. This one is 64 gigs memory, and then it's on that new chip, the M1 Ultra from Apple.
Okay.
So the chip is pretty fast. I've been, impressed with the computer. I don't do like a lot of 3D. That's usually where Apple, I think, will struggle. But I have done some renders in Blender. If you're doing, 4K to 6K, the computer works, flawlessly. So it's been pretty good. There's not much to it, but really, any good space where you've got the ability to really move things around to shape the light or to set a scene. It can be a good studio. So ours may not be like a super professional studio, but it works for us.
I mean, it's not like my studio. That's obviously very clearly very professional in all of its video nature.
But honestly though, like in all honesty, like you guys have seen my studio at home, it's like a 1/10 of this. And Riggs, like it's so much of it is about lighting, like just getting good soft lighting and making it just look good from whatever perspective you can get. It's great. And the cool thing about a room like this is you can pick a ton of different perspectives, and you can shoot into that corner or that corner, and even just setting up a little set like this makes a huge difference. And having the ability to adapt and go, and you guys do a lot of run and gun anyway, right?
Yeah.
You guys have the backpack rig thing too, right?
We do.
You can't look cool with one of these on your back.
Kind of nerdy, but
Yeah?
yeah, it'll just sit on your back, help.
Big cable that goes over and holds up
weight
the
of
camera. And
Yeah, every so often we'll have the opportunity to really shape something. If like we're doing a story or something like that, and this sort of thing, so.
yeah, and every once in a while you guys do like a really cool sermon series graphic in here too, where you like blow up paint and stuff like that.
We
right?
did a while
Yeah.
ago. We had this really interesting sermon series graphic. Is this ball that would just dump
Yeah.
paint on and got everywhere, and weeks and weeks of
creative and-
cleaning. There are things that I found like I think months after that have like blue and pink paint on it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for showing us the
Absolutely.
studios. Really quick, let me just ask, why do you work at a church?
I started making videos a long time ago. And I was 12 when I really took an interest in making videos. I became a Christian when I was 14, and that really changed my life. And so I just had this passion to follow God in whatever I was doing, and I had this talent that I still really like to do. So I started making videos for the church that I was at voluntarily, and then got a little bit better at it. And so now I work here at Shades, and we get to make some videos that hopefully serve people and tell people about the truth of the gospel.
Okay, so hopefully you've enjoyed this awesome studio tour, seeing this place and the other room. Man, like, it's just so cool seeing people's gear and how they do things. But I also want to just tell you about Rig's channel, because you've only watched half of the video. The other half is seeing all the audio stuff that's going on in here.
Yeah, so my channel is all about guitars and gear and how I kind of use it in a lot of different ways. I do a lot of session work, a lot of live music, and all kinds of things, as well as running a YouTube channel. And if you're interested in guitar, studio stuff, and all of that, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it.
Make sure you check it out. Go subscribe, it's awesome. And go check out that other video that he shot right now. Click the link right here. Come on, just see it. Like stop just sitting there and click the link. Just click the link. Come on, we're good. All right. Why do you have maple syrup on your desk?
So, best maple syrup comes from Montreal. They're like, oh yeah, it sure does. And I was like, yeah, it's so good. And I was like, well, do you want it? And I was like, yeah.
Those long nights of editing, you've got your maple
Just
syrup to give you that extra
kicking
little
it
kick.
back,
Yeah,
get it in there.
that's funny.